What's up, guys? It's your boy Willie Lane, the sickest in the game, and we're doing another PC build today. Um, about halfway through the NZXT case upgrade video, which you can watch in the description. Anyways, about halfway through, I realized it didn't have any 5 1/4 inch bays. I use them quite a lot. I've still got a Blu-ray burner, which I use to burn Dreamcast games and stuff like that, and I watch Blu-rays as well. And I also use the drive bay a fair bit because I make backups of my personal data, all my project files and stuff like that, like for outside of YouTube files I'm talking about mainly. So that stuff's still pretty important to me, and I still need some sort of yeah. I could use USB stuff, but that's not my USB situation's still pretty tight. I'm using most of those ports still. So yeah, I need something to do that sort of stuff, and I've also got a new job doing PC repairs, and I'm guessing from time to time I'm gonna need to do drive cloning and stuff like that. So what I really needed was just a machine that was set up just for that, and I found that I had sort of the perfect hardware lying around, and I also found that the majority of it was old Alienware parts. Don't ask me how I ended up with so much old Alienware stuff. I've never bought an Alienware thing in my life. But I guess it says something about the company having all this, broken ass Alienware stuff just lying around in my room. And, I've come across quite a few broken Alienware systems. Uh, I've heard good things about them, but I've heard they're good pre-Dell, but I don't know, I'm not that old. Anyways, we got this X58 motherboard, which is great for me because it has it's SATA 6 and it's also got IDE, which is great. If I need to do any sort of legacy work, I can do that. The other thing about it was it's X58 and I've got the i7 930 in it, which is a good CPU. It's still four cores, 8 threads. I think it's 2.6 up to 3.3, maybe just 3, 3 gigahertz, something like that. So still a pretty decent processor that'll get me by for. It's not like I'm going to be gaming on this system at all. I've got a GTX 1050 at 550 actually. So it's just to drive the graphics is pretty much what I need. So yeah, the main reason is that I just need drives. I need drive bays. I'm going to populate the whole front of it with everything I can find, whether it's CD burners, more drive bays for hard drives, whatever I feel like I need, and it's going to be all networked up to my other computers, so I'll always have access to those drives. So the first thing to take care of was the case. This was originally an Athlon 64 system, and it was super dusty. I ended up taking it apart, rinsing it, scrubbing it down, and even so, some of the rust and other marks weren't really coming out. It was really important for me that this case looked good, so I ended up deciding to paint it. I wanted to go for that sort of classic mid-2000s look, like what I went with in the end was a chrome interior and a black exterior. I think it came out looking really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the LEDs from the fans, like the light bounces around inside the case off the chrome. I think that's going to look really sick. The next thing was to sort of prepare the components, get them all prepped. So I dusted down the motherboard, applied a thermal paste, put the cooler on. I'm going to have to think about how to mount the cooler inside the case because the back fan mounts are for two 40mm fans, not one 120mm fan. But I'm thinking I'm just going to be able to force it on there somehow, and then that will be cool. So at this point, the rest of the build went pretty smoothly. I ended up zip tying the radiator fan combo to the back of the case, just where the two 80mm fans would have gone. That worked out pretty well. It was sort of annoying because it is totally cut out and spaced out for 120mm fan, but it just isn't properly set into the. It's just not what the intended use case was for. As for the power supply, I ended up stealing the power supply from my main rig. We've had some power troubles at my house, and I just don't trust it anymore. I've had it 4 years plus, and it was making some weird noises. So ultimately, I can afford to lose the hardware on this side of the power supply, so I'm not going to be too upset if something happens, whereas losing my 1800X and a 1060 would be pretty bad. Not to mention the motherboard too, that was heaps of money anyways. So that's where that went, and yeah, then I started to run into some problems.
One-hit KOs, but they have limited uses, so you're encouraged to improvise, and that's what makes combat.
Okay, so I'm about 3 hours into troubleshooting at the moment. I've had problem after problem with this motherboard. So what I'm working with exactly is a i7 930. I've got an X58 motherboard, so like socket 1366. It's from an old Alienware 51 system. And yeah, I've just got like a few handfuls of RAM, like just different kits. And I've got a few video cards. So from initial boot, I've got this beep code.
KOs, but they have limited uses, so you're encouraged to improvise, and that's what makes combat.
That ended up being for video. So I swapped out the video card. I read something online about this particular Alienware motherboard being a bit particular about PCI Express 2.0 cards. So I don't know, but it worked out in the end. I got it working with the Quadro. Then I got a new beep code for memory, for RAM. So, I tried each stick individually, went through all that. Like I said, I've been troubleshooting for like 3 hours, so I did a lot of RAM swaps. I eventually got something working, and then I got something else working, and like, seriously, like moving one slot of RAM to this and just swapping it around has worked sometimes, so it's really annoying. And then once I was past that barrier and I was into BIOS, I had the screen on and all that sort of stuff. It just refused to boot into any boot drive I had. So I had like 3 different Windows 10 boot drives, different images on like just lying around my room. I tried each one, it refused to boot. I tried my Windows 10 disk, and then I was just like, okay, is anything gonna work on the system? So I installed Ubuntu, and that worked fine. I got all the drivers installed; it was all working cool. So I was like, okay, so it's not, so the computer's working. It functionally runs. So why isn't it booting into Windows? And then I was like, okay, hey, I will burn Windows 10 to a disk. Okay, that didn't work. I tried burning Windows 7 to a disk. That didn't work. And then I tried burning Windows 7 to a disk yet again, and then that worked. So who knows? And just for sanity's sake, I tried like a handful of these boot options on another device, and it worked fine. Like that first Windows 7 disk that I burnt, I tried that and it worked fine on the other system. So it was just being fucking crazy about it for no reason. So I've got Windows 7 on there at the moment. I think at this stage I'm just gonna do the Windows update path to Windows 10, just because I can't fathom having to do the boot thing again. Just I'm not even sure how I got it working. It's just chance. At this stage, I am pretty sure I don't want to use this system as my IT helping system, IT repair system. It's just not going to be, like, given how much trouble I went to today, like seriously 3 hours of troubleshooting. It's just not going to be stable or good enough for me. I've actually blue screened in Windows 7 once or twice, so there's obviously something wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out something else. I do have another motherboard I can use. Um, but yeah, that's the story so far. So I'll probably finish up the video part of this build, and then work something else out. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the end of the video. So at this point, the build's pretty much complete. I think it turned out pretty cool, the visuals of it. The only thing I left out was the bat wing and the side panel window, which is acrylic. But this is fine anyways, because you can see into the case better. But yeah, at this point I've decided this is as far as I want to go, because I was, just because of the hardware, I'm 100% sure that I don't want to use it as my secondary repair system. There's a few features that are missing, like for example I need SATA hot swappable on there, and that just wasn't an option in the BIOS. I need that for the front bay hard drive reader thing, which is like one of the main things I needed on the system. The second thing was stability is not 100%. It's already crashed during some like Prime 95 runs. It's getting Windows on there in the first place is a nightmare. Like I got Linux on there just fine, but like any form of Windows was just not biting. Like trying to boot off a USB, it just refused to boot. Uh, Half the CDs I burned didn't work for some reason. Like it's weird. I've had Windows running on this for years, fine. Like before in previous systems. But yeah, this time around, it's just something wrong with it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't want to use it just for stability. Like if I ever need to reinstall, I don't want to go through that again. So yeah, I think I'm gonna shelf this system. This is gonna be like permanently. Now I know that motherboard CPU combo does not work. And I'm gonna transition over to this board. So I'm gonna build a new system around this. I've got a few parts already picked out. I'm gonna steal the cooler, SSD, RAM from this system, power supply as well. Around this new system, which is I think you call this socket 1151, 1156. And it's got a pretty neat Xeon on there. So yeah, that's going to be pretty much the end of this system, the end of this video. Yeah, I think it turned out okay. It's just a shame about the hardware sort of giving up on me. I guess I gave up on it too, but it's like fully broken. So yeah, if you have any thoughts in the comments, if you think I should have done anything differently. The paint turned out pretty good. It did look like how I wanted it to look like one of those old school aluminum cases. I messed up the paint on the back a little bit, but it wasn't too big a stress anyways. Yeah, it's just a real shame. It's a cool little board, and like, you know, I rocked the 930 for ages. I just, yeah, it wasn't going to be the right thing. But yeah, this new board has all the same features. It's got the IDE, so I'll be able to do IDE troubleshooting. It's got SATA 6. No hot swappables a feature on this board. And yeah, so it's going to be pretty cool either way. I'm going to have what I needed pretty much. So yeah, I think I will film the next build, but it won't be that exciting. It won't be as painful as this build, hopefully, as well. So yeah, with that said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
All systems are functional.